Welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Heisenberg's Factory off camera. If you enjoy this video, please think about giving it a like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And as always, I'll be popping in from time to time to explain certain things, but I hope you enjoy the video. Here we just have a outside look at the factory and the back of the factory. Here's the arena where you fight Heisenberg. And I just wanted to see what we could see from the underneath. So right now Ethan is still standing outside the factory. We haven't gone inside of it, but looking underneath, this is what we can see, and this is the topmost level of the factory, which is still pretty cool that this is all loaded. So here, I'm sure you're all curious. During this cutscene, the Sturm is actually underneath. It's not animated though, so it just makes noises. And interestingly enough, there's actually 3 different Sturms down here. And just to look at the layout, the path you run from Sturm once the cutscene's over, and the tunnel that you slide down. We have just a close-up look at some of the enemies on the factory line. You can see they go past the wall out of bounds where you normally wouldn't see, and then they unload. And if we take a look at the other side, you can see from out of bounds they load in onto the rail. And here we have a view of the back corner of the factory. It's kind of hard to see from where you normally are in the factory. But it's just cool to take a look from the other side. And then up here we actually have some architecture that I never noticed before. I think it would have been really cool to have Ethan explored some of these back places in the factory, instead of just being relegated to the small tight corridors for the entirety of this level. Here we have the giant fan room. So this is it from the bottom. We get this really cool view. And if we take the camera up to the top while the fan is still active, we can see the junk floating above. Which does look pretty silly. Then I wanted to see if this room had an actual roof or top to it. Because even now, taking the camera up, it just looks like a pitch black void. But I was actually surprised there actually is a top to this room, even though you'll never be able to see it. And we are just another look at some of the layout of the factory, and then just a look to see how deep underground you actually are during this part of the game. And here, just a different view, the death animation for dying to the fan.
I don't have time for this bullshit. Out of my way.
As you're approaching this area, you can hear the boss making noises, but unfortunately it's not actually there. It's just audio cues until you get close enough and the boss spawns in, immediately crashing through the wall. Here we have at the top of the factory, when you interact with the door, a cutscene plays, and for the slightest second, giant mecha Heisenberg loads in behind Ethan, so the game can load him in and get his model ready for use. It's kind of silly fitting him into this room, but it's pretty cool to catch a glimpse of this because it only happens for a split second. We get a close-up of his face, which is kind of terrifying, to be honest. Personally, I always wondered when we were fighting him where his face was, because I never got close enough to see, but here we are, and it's terrifying. But like I said, he only pops up there for a second as the game gets ready to use his model later during this cutscene.
Not bad, hunters. You're persistent. But I've got a rebellion too. So stay out of my way.
See, he gets covered in metal for a bit so you can't see him, and then the game loads in his giant form. So here we have the reward for beating the Heisenberg boss fight. It's waiting underneath the map for you because you don't actually pick this item up when you beat Heisenberg. The game just hands this item to you and you're immediately thrown into a cutscene. And we have just a different angle of some of his moves during the fight. Pretty cool to see all the metal floating around like this. And here we'll have a different view of the final sequence of the fight. Which honestly looks really cool, but again, it's just one of those things that's hard to see in first person because there's so much going on. As always, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. The next part will probably be the final part of Resident Evil Village off camera, and then we'll take it from there. Please leave a comment down below what you want to see, and I'll get back to you guys next time. Until then, take care.